My name's Eric. I'm 41 years old, and I've been married to Melanie for 12 years. We've got one daughter, Grace, who just turned 9. We live in a two-story house on the edge of town, the kind of place you buy when you think the future's set in stone. For the longest time, I thought we were solid. We weren't flashy, we weren't some picture-perfect Instagram couple, but we had history. We'd been through the broke years, the long nights with a crying baby, the moves from one apartment to another until we finally landed here. I thought all of that meant something. But lately, Melanie's been different. It started subtly, the way these things usually do. A joke here, a comment there. She'd say things like, "You're such a creature of habit," or, "God, you're so predictable, Eric." She'd laugh after, but the tone didn't feel like a joke. It felt like she was poking holes in me. One night, while we were watching TV, she turned to me out of nowhere and said, "You ever think maybe we got too comfortable too soon? Like, maybe we skipped out on the excitement other people had." I didn't even know how to answer. I just kind of shrugged, because what was I supposed to say? Sorry I didn't keep you on your toes after a decade of paying bills and building a life? It stung. But like most men do, I buried it. Thing is, once you hear something like that, you start noticing the signs you'd been ignoring. She used to curl up next to me on the couch. Now she sat at the far end, scrolling her phone. She used to ask me about work, laugh at my dumb stories about office drama. Lately, she just gave me half nods, eyes locked on the screen. And then there were the girls' nights. They started popping up more often. At first once a month, then twice, then almost every weekend. She'd come home late, smelling like expensive perfume that wasn't hers, makeup smudged, heels in her hand. I'd ask if she had fun, and she'd smile like she was daring me to question her. "Yeah, Eric. Don't wait up next time, okay?" That line played in my head over and over. Still, I told myself not to overreact. Married people go through phases. Maybe she just needed space. Maybe she was stressed. But my gut was whispering something else. One Saturday afternoon, I was cleaning out the garage when I heard her on the phone. She didn't know I was nearby. Her voice was soft, almost playful, the kind of tone I hadn't heard in years. I froze, listening. All I caught was, "I can't tonight, he's home." "Yeah, I'll figure something out." Then a laugh. A low, secret kind of laugh. When I stepped inside, she was at the kitchen counter, phone face down. She smiled at me like nothing had happened. That's when it hit me, the woman I thought I knew was slipping away, piece by piece. But instead of confronting her right then, I stayed quiet, observing, waiting, because something inside me had started to shift too, and I was beginning to realize that maybe the only way to show her what she had was to stop giving it so freely. There's a difference between being ignored and choosing to be silent. For years, I filled every gap between us. When she came home tired, I carried the conversation. When she seemed distant, I reached for her hand. When she was sharp, I softened. I thought that was love covering the cracks so the house wouldn't fall apart. But cracks don't disappear just because you paint over them. So I stopped painting. I didn't announce it. I didn't slam doors or make speeches. I just went quiet. The next week, she came home late on a Wednesday, hair messy from the wind, lipstick faded. Normally, I would have asked where she'd been. Instead, I just nodded from the couch and turned back to my book. She hesitated in the doorway. "Mom meeting," she said. I didn't look up. "Okay." Her eyes lingered on me for a beat before she headed upstairs. The silence unsettled her more than any argument ever could. Over the next few days, I saw the shift. She'd text me in the middle of the day, "How's work?" or "Everything okay?" Questions she hadn't asked in months. I answered with one-word replies. Polite. Neutral. Nothing extra. Friday night, she suggested takeout and a movie, something we hadn't done together in ages. She even ordered my favorite without asking. But when we sat down, she kept glancing at me instead of the screen, like she was trying to measure how much of me she still had. "You're quiet lately," she finally said. I chewed slowly, swallowed, and shrugged. Guess I don't have much to say. Her fork clinked against the plate a little too loud. "Eric, if something's wrong, just tell me." I looked at her, really looked at her. And for the first time in years, I didn't rush to ease her guilt. "Isn't this what you wanted?" Less predictable? Less comfortable. Her face flickered guilt, then irritation, then something else. Something closer to fear. She didn't answer. That weekend, I went to the gym early Saturday morning, stayed out longer than usual. When I got home, she was in the kitchen, hair still wet from a shower, dressed nicer than she usually did for errands. "Where'd you go?" she asked, too casual. "Out," I said, setting my keys down. She frowned. "Out where?" "Nowhere important." She didn't like that. Not one bit. That afternoon, I caught her looking at my phone when she thought I wasn't paying attention. I didn't call her out on it. I just let her wonder. Because the truth is, I didn't need to prove anything anymore. I wasn't the one under examination. That night, she cooked dinner really cooked, not just reheated leftovers. Steak, roasted vegetables, a bottle of wine already breathing on the counter. She set the table, lit candles, put on music. Halfway through the meal, she reached across, touched my hand, and said softly, "I don't want us to drift, Eric." I studied her fingers resting on mine. Once, that touch would have melted me. Now it just felt calculated. "Then stop pushing me away," I said. Her hand froze. She blinked, like she wasn't expecting me to call it out so directly. "I'm not pushing you away," she said quickly. I need excitement sometimes. You know? I need to feel alive." I leaned back, letting her words settle. "And do you?" Her eyes started, just for a second, before she forced a smile. "Of course. With you." But her voice cracked on the last word. I didn't press. I just nodded and poured more wine. That night, while she slept, I sat in the living room, staring at the glow of my phone screen. Not scrolling, not calling anyone, just sitting in the silence she hated so much. And that's when it hit me, whatever she was chasing out there, it wasn't excitement. It was an escape. The only question was, from what or from who? And if she thought I wasn't going to find out, she had no idea who she was dealing with. The thing about silence is it doesn't just make other people nervous. It gives you clarity too. By week 3, the air in our house felt different. Not heavier, just watchful, like the walls themselves were holding their breath. Melanie had started to hover. She'd ask questions she never used to care about. "When's your gym class again? Who are you meeting for lunch? Why'd you stay late at work?" Every time, her voice carried that forced casualness that only exists when someone's desperate for information. I answered simply, honestly enough. But I left room for her imagination to wander. And it did. One Thursday evening, I got home later than usual. She was in the kitchen, dressed up. Too dressed up for just girls' night. Her hair was curled, her lipstick darker than I'd seen in years. She looked good, undeniably good, but not like she was dressed for me. "Heading out?" I asked, hanging my jacket. "Yeah," she said quickly. "Book club." I raised an eyebrow. "Since when does book club meet at 9 p.m.? She froze for a second too long before laughing it off. "We changed it up. More fun that way." "Right," I said, and walked past her to the living room. Her laugh followed me, hollow and nervous. When she came home after midnight, I was still up, scrolling through emails. She slipped her heels off at the door, tiptoeing like a teenager sneaking in past curfew. When she saw me on the couch, her whole body jolted. "You're still up," she whispered. "Couldn't sleep." "Oh." She set her purse down, fiddled with the strap. "It was a good night." I nodded, eyes on my screen. "Glad you had fun." She hovered there, waiting for me to push, to ask. I didn't. I just let the silence grow until it was unbearable. Finally, she mumbled, "I'm going to bed," and disappeared upstairs. That night, I didn't sleep much either. Not because of her, but because my mind had already started piecing things together. The late nights, the new perfume, the sudden need to feel alive. The way she looked at her phone when she thought I wasn't watching. I didn't have evidence yet, but I didn't need it. I've lived with her long enough to know when something was off. And this? This was an earthquake rumbling under our feet. The next Saturday, she suggested a family outing, just the 3 of us, her, me, and Grace. We hadn't done that in months. She packed a picnic, insisted on driving to the park, even played old songs in the car like she was trying to rewind the clock. And for a while, it worked. Watching her chase Grace across the grass, laughing, I almost forgot. For a moment, I remembered the woman I married. The one who used to look at me like I was her anchor, not her cage. But the illusion cracked when her phone buzzed. She pulled it out so fast it looked like muscle memory. Her smile faded, replaced with something sharper, private. She turned her back to us, thumb flying across the screen. When she came back, she forced that same bright smile. Sorry, work stuff. Grace bought it. I didn't. On the way home, she reached across the console, rested her hand on mine. Today was nice, she said softly. We should do it more often. I nodded. Yeah, we should. But in my chest, the quiet resolve hardened. Because I knew the truth, whatever she was holding onto in that phone, it wasn't just work. That night, after she fell asleep, I stood in the doorway of our bedroom and just watched her. Watched the woman I'd built a life with, the woman who once promised me forever, lying there with secrets curled up beside her. And I realized something chilling. She wasn't afraid of losing me. Not yet, but she would be. Soon. Because the silence I'd given her was just the beginning. And when the truth finally came out, she'd understand exactly what too comfortable really costs. The breaking point came on a Wednesday night. She said she had another book club. Same excuse, same half smile. I just nodded, kissed Grace goodnight, and sat on the couch waiting for the house to go quiet. An hour later, curiosity pulled me outside. I'm not proud of it, but sometimes silence isn't enough, you need to see. Her car wasn't in the driveway. Not at the curb either. And the direction she usually took for book club? That road didn't lead to any library. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. Because by then, the silence between us had already confirmed what words never could. Instead, I sat at the kitchen table, lights off, phone face down. Just waiting. She slipped in close to midnight, heels dangling from her hand, perfume hanging heavy in the air. When she saw me sitting there, she froze like a kid caught sneaking out. Eric, she started. I held up my hand. Don't. Her lips parted, searching for excuses. None came. The silence stretched, filling every corner of the room, and for the first time she couldn't laugh it off. Finally, she whispered, "It's not what you think." I almost laughed at that. Really? Then tell me what it is. Her eyes glistened, her throat worked, but no words came. Because she knew. And I knew. The truth didn't need a confession. It was written all over her, the careful lies, the late nights, the look in her eyes when she thought I wasn't watching. I leaned back in the chair, folded my arms, and said quietly, "You told me I was too comfortable, too predictable, that I didn't challenge you anymore." She flinched like the words were knives. Well, I continued, I hope you're ready. Because this, I gestured between us, the yawning silence, the life we built now teetering on the edge, this is what unpredictable feels like. Tears slid down her cheeks, but I didn't move to comfort her. Not this time. I stood, walked past her, and went upstairs. Grace was asleep, breathing softly, safe in her own little world. I kissed her forehead, then went to the spare room, shut the door, and locked it. That night, I slept deeper than I had in years. Because for the first time, she was the one lying awake in the silence. And in the morning, she'd realized the truth. A man like me doesn't have to raise his voice. All he has to do is walk away.